The Sonos Era 100 has been out for a little over a month now, and I've been putting it through its paces. There's really a lot to like here, but also a few downsides that I wasn't expecting. So let's get into it and see what's going on. This is the Era 100, the cheapest speaker in a new product line from Sonos, who I'm sure you've heard of at this point. If you haven't heard of them, they're essentially a somewhat premium home speaker manufacturer that make a wide range of smart speakers, portable speakers, and TV soundbars. I say somewhat premium because when you really dive into the home speaker market with audiophiles and everything that includes, you can get into some pretty crazy prices. These speakers aren't crazy expensive, but they aren't exactly cheap either. So the Era 100 is $249, and with that you get a really solid build, with a mixture of a metal grille and plastic on the rest, and you can get it in black or white. Having owned a ton of Sonos speakers through the years, they pretty much always nail the build quality department, and the unboxing experience is always top notch. I went with the black version, as you can see here. Now this is the successor to the previous version called the Sonos Ones, which are still for sale, and those came after the Sonos Play Ones, which I still own and use to this day. The Era 100s are roughly 7 inches tall and about 5 inches front to back. These weigh a little over 4 pounds, and as you can see here, are a good bit bigger than my original Play Ones. You get touch controls on the top with your typical volume up and down buttons, but they've also added a pretty cool volume slider if you'd rather control your volume that way. It's actually pretty intuitive, and I found myself using that more than trying to hit the precise locations needed for the plus and minus buttons. Above that, you've got a voice assistant button, which offers Amazon and Sonos' own voice assistants. Do note that up until recently, Sonos offered Google's assistant as well, and they still offer it on older devices, but Sonos and Google went to court, and now they have decided they don't like each other anymore, so I wouldn't expect that to become available at any point in the future. You can turn it off, or you don't even have to activate a voice assistant at all if you don't want a speaker that's always listening to you. On the back at the top, there's a Bluetooth button for pairing, and at the bottom there's a microphone mute toggle and a USB-C input. Great build quality is one thing, but let's get into the sound. There's a single woofer at the bottom and dual tweeters at the top that offer stereo sound, and overall, I'm pretty satisfied with what this thing can do. Sonos has always been a little bass heavy, and this one is no exception, but it's not overwhelming to a point where you can't hear the mids and highs. The stereo separation is okay, but you definitely won't confuse it with a set of real left and right speakers. I use a pair of HomePod minis on my desk, and there's really not a good way to beat a real stereo separation just due to the tweeters being so close together at the top. But even being just one speaker, the Era 100 was easily able to overpower the pair of HomePod minis in bass and overall volume. You can also buy 2 of these and set them up as a stereo pair, which should really give you room-filling sound, but at that point you're talking about $500. We'll dive into the versatility of these in a bit, as you can also pair them up and use them as TV surround sound speakers. So the Sonos app is required to use the Era 100, and any Sonos product for that matter. These aren't the kind of speakers that you can just take home and plug in and start listening to music. A lot of people are kind of turned off by this fact, but the app is very streamlined and really just walks you through the setup. Being a Wi-Fi speaker first and foremost, it will get you connected and let you set up a room or pair if you have any other Sonos speakers or the subwoofers. Here's where you can also set up the voice assistants if you would like to, but I personally never do. There's also a simple EQ that lets you adjust the bass and treble, and an area to control your Bluetooth and line-in connections, and you can turn the status light on the front and the touch controls on or off. Another feature in the app is something called TruePlay, which essentially will auto-tune the speaker based on its surroundings using its microphones. This was previously not available on Android devices and was only on Apple devices, so it's nice to see it get added here. Apple devices still do get a second form of TruePlay, where you walk around the room and sort of wave your phone around, and it uses your phone's microphones to tune the speaker instead of the microphones built into it. I couldn't really tell a difference when using TruePlay when it tunes itself on Android and when it tunes with the walking around one on Apple. I do recommend using this feature though, because it does sound a little bit better based on your speaker placement in the room, and it says it will get better over time. So these are primarily Wi-Fi speakers, meaning they cast from your phone or tablet over Wi-Fi, and you get generally better sounding audio than your standard Bluetooth speaker connection. These speakers have Wi-Fi 6, and I've never really had any connection issues in the past or dropouts. Of course, these won't only work as well, or as far, I should say, as your Wi-Fi will reach. So if you're trying to set these up in an area of your house that maybe has a spotty Wi-Fi connection, you may be better off using Bluetooth. Bluetooth is new to this lineup, and it's a welcome feature to have. It was only previously available on the portable Sonos speakers, and it finally kind of fills the one thing that was holding Sonos back for a lot of people when comparing them to other speaker brands. It works fine, but do note it's only Bluetooth 5.0 for some reason and not the latest version. I think we're up to like Bluetooth 5.4 at this point. Sonos has always been really hesitant on adding Bluetooth, as they previously said they didn't like the audio quality compared to Wi-Fi, so maybe that's why, but I'm just speculating. You can also still use these in a pair over Bluetooth as well as Wi-Fi, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, these are also AirPlay 2 compatible, so it's really easy to use them with Apple devices, and I set mine up with a Mac Mini and watch some video and listen to some music on my computer. To use the USB-C port on the back, you have to buy a Sonos line-in adapter, and it's around $20. This isn't proprietary, but Sonos does say that the other ones you may already have, like the one from your phone, won't work with these, as these are all made to push sound out from your device, and the Sonos line-in adapter is made to allow sound in from a device, so it's going the opposite direction. So it's not really necessary, but if you have something like a record player or an old iPod, you can certainly use the line-in adapter. You can connect the line-in to your TV, but it doesn't sound very good, and there's huge latency and syncing issues, so I wouldn't really recommend it. In my testing, Wi-Fi sounded the best out of all the connections, but Bluetooth sounded perfectly fine and would be a viable option. AirPlay also worked great, but I did notice a pretty strong delay when using it with my computer for video, so keep that in mind. I mentioned earlier, you can also get a pair of these and use them as rear speakers on a TV if you have a Sonos Beam, Arc, or Raise soundbar. Just note that they don't work with the older soundbars. You can also pair a sub with these with no soundbar if you just want a really strong music setup in your house. So all that being said, would I recommend these? Well, yes and no. As I said, I own the first generation Sonos Play 1s, and they sound essentially the same as the Sonos ones that the Era 100s are replacing. In playing the Play 1s and the Era 100s side by side, there wasn't a huge difference in sound quality. At least not what I was expecting to be 2 generations newer. You've got a little more bass, a little more clarity, a little more stereo separation, and a good bit more overall volume, but it wasn't a massive $249 upgrade that I was expecting. So if you've already got the Play 1s or a Sonos one, I'd say hold on to them, unless you really need the additional connections. You can also get a good set of used older ones for much cheaper. And I don't want to understate the new connections. Having Bluetooth and line-in are excellent, but again, for me, it's not a huge motivating factor. I use a pair of Play 1s as stereo rears with a Beam soundbar, and they work great. I've had 0 connection issues, even without Bluetooth or AirPlay. So given the fact that I need to buy 2 to replace the ones I have, then we're talking about a $500 investment. But if you don't have a setup like mine, or if you've been curious about trying out a Sonos speaker, this will be a perfect first speaker to buy and throw in the kitchen, or an office, or a bedroom. It's got room-filling sound and just about all the connection types you could want. Sonos also has a great return policy if you aren't completely happy as well. I think it's like 45 days. But that is all I've got for today. I thank you for watching as always. Let me know if you like Sonos products, hate Sonos, or maybe already picked up an Era 100. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button or subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.